Good morning, everybody. I am Anusha of CSE department, working as assistant professor in Institute of Aeronautical Engineering. In my videos, I'm discussing about programming with objects based on Java. So let's move on to the video. In the previous session, we have dealt about exception handling and what are the different types of exceptions, that is the checked and unchecked exceptions, and the usage of try and catch block. Now in today's video, we will look into multiple catch statements, the nested try, throws, and finally. So as we have discussed before, exception is any runtime error and it causes the disruption in the execution flow of the program. So we have seen seen the 5 different keywords which is used for exception handling, which are try catch block, the try and catch block, the throw keyword, throws, and the finally. So these were the 5 keywords which is used for exception handling. We have seen about try catch, wherein that any code which we want to monitor for error or exceptions, we will put inside the try block, and if any exception is thrown by those statements, that statement will be that exception will be caught by the and handled inside the catch block. Now we have seen the structure of try catch block, wherein you can have, for a single try, we have multiple catches. You can have multiple catches and a finally block. So this was the structure of try catch block. So why do we use multiple catches? Now there are cases in which more than one exception can be raised by a set of code, by one piece of code. So when there are more than one type of exception being thrown, it can be caught by multiple catches. So to specify more than so we can specify more catch clauses to catch each type of these each of these different type of exceptions. So when one let's say at this point an exception is being thrown. Let's say it is an arithmetic exception. So what it will do, the runtime will check with the first block whether it is handling the arithmetic exception or not. So if it is handling the arithmetic exception, then this set of statement inside the catch block will be executed. Now if in case this does not matches, then it will check with the next set of next catch block and check whether it is again arithmetic exception. So if they are matching, then that set of statements will be executed. So once if this statement is, if let's say it got a match over here at this point, if the arithmetic exception matched over here, then these set of the other catches will be bypassed. They may not execute those set of catch blocks. Now let's look into a simple example. Here we have the code for multiple catch, the class called as multiple catches. Now let's look into an example for multiple catches. We have a class named multiple catches, wherein we have a try block. We have one try block and we have three catch statements. So here at this point, let's say we are creating an array of 5 blocks, which can store 5 integers, an array of size 5. Now we are trying to access the 8th element of array 5. So we are having only 5 elements in an array. We are having only 5 elements and we are trying to access the 8th element. That means it is accessing an element which is out of the cover, out of the index, right? So at this point, an exception will be thrown. So when an exception will be thrown, it has to be caught by some catch block, right? So here we have defined 3 catch blocks. One is for dealing the arithmetic exception. The second is dealing the array index out of bound exception, and one is for the general exceptions. Okay, so here what happens at this point, at this point, and say the array index out of bound was thrown. So at this point, whatever exception object is being thrown will be caught by the catch block. So that object will be compared with the catch block over here. So here it is, we have this, given for handling the arithmetic exception. So since it is handling the arithmetic exception, what happens? It doesn't match. Here the exception thrown is the exception being thrown is the index out of bound, but it is not matching with the first catch block. So it will bypass these set of statements. Next, it will check with the second one, wherein it is dealing with the array index out of bound exception. So at this point, we get the array index out of bound exception. So whatever is kept inside that set of catch block will be executed. So here we have, it will display this statement it will display this statement. And so here we have a class named multiple catches. Inside that we have one try block with multiple catch statements. There are 3 catch statements. One catch statement is describing the arithmetic exception. Another is catching the array index out of bound exception, and a third one is catching the general exception class. Now, so here we have an array defined in which it is creating an array of 5 elements. Now, here in this point, we are trying to access an element at the 8th location. We have an array of 5 elements, but we are trying to access the 8th element. So this will throw array index out of bound exception. So when it throws that, an exception object will be thrown at this point. So this statement will not be executed. So it will check with the catch blocks, which is dealing the array index out of bound exception. So it will check with the first block, which doesn't have a match since it is dealing with the arithmetic exception. Now it will bypass that catch block. It will check the second part. So at the second part, it is dealing with the index out of bound exception, array index out of bound exception, and so whatever exception object is thrown at this point will be caught into E. The exception thrown at the point is caught into E, and these set of statements will be these set of statements will be executed. So what we'll get array index out of exception occurs. So we got this statement, and I am displaying E. So this whole thing we got it from the exception object. So this is the description of the exception object. What is it saying? An array index out of bound exception is generated, which is, and where is this thing defined? It is defined inside the Java lang package, and we have the what is the error? We were trying to access the 8th element of the of a 5-element array. So index 8 is out of bounds for length 5. So this is the index. So index 8 is out of bounds for length 5. So this is the exception which was thrown at this point. The exception which was thrown was this array index out of bound. Now, as we have seen, this exception class is the parent class of all exceptions. Okay, it is of all checked exception, and from exception class we get the runtime exception, and other exceptions also comes under this subclass. So since this exception class is the superclass of all exceptions, the catch statement dealing with the exception, dealing with the subclass exception, should be always kept at the end. It should be always kept as the last catch statement, so that if these statements is throwing any exceptions, then if it doesn't find any match for those match in the catch statements, then the exception, this superclass will handle them. We can make the superclass to handle any exception which is not having a match in the description, in the catch block. Also, if we place this exception block before any of its subclasses, then the other points will describe an error in Java. It will be throwing a compile time error, saying the statements, these exceptions cannot be reached. It like a not reachable, it will show an error of non-reachable code. And the non-reachable code is an error in Java. So we should always see that we will place the exception subclass, we will place the exception in the as the last catch block. We'll always place the exception in as the last catch block. So since there is proper handling of the error thrown at this point, the execution will not be interrupted, and we will be able to execute the rest of the code. So we get the statement, rest of the code also in the output, because the error thrown here was an index out of bound, and also it is it is catching that error properly. So this is how we'll deal with multiple catches. So here in our example, we had 3 catch statements, of which the last catch statement should be when, like, if we are using the exception superclass. So if we are having a catch statement with the superclass exception, then it has to be kept in the last catch statement. It has to be dealt in the last catch statement. Next is nested try. So we can have one try block inside another try block. You have one try block. So inside that we can have another try catch block. So, and we have a catch over here. So this format is called as nested try. When we can have one try statement inside another try statement block. Okay, so what happens here when, if let's look into an example. So if what will happen here, let's say we have one try block here. So this try block's catch is present here. So this is coming in, this try block is coming inside this try block. So what happens here is that if any exception is thrown at this point, if any exception is thrown in any set of these statements, then its corresponding catch will be, catch can be utilized to handle that exception. Now, in case these set of statements are throwing an exception which is not handled over here, then it can be handled by the external catch block. It can be written to handled by the external catch block also. Okay, so let's look into an example in detail. So here we have the class nested try. Inside that we have one outer, this is our outer try statement. Then we have the one nested try, and this is our second nested try. So here in this nested try, it is what we are having. It is creating an arithmetic exception because it is dividing by 0. So since it is dividing by 0, the exception will be, an exception object will be thrown at this point. Since the tries catch block, the matching catch block is handling the arithmetic exception, this statement will be executed. So it is displaying the exception object. So you get going to divide state. This is our going to divide statement. We got it in the output. Then it is displaying the exception object, which will give the description like this. This is creating an arithmetic exception. So the java.lang.arithmetic exception, and what is it? It is created because of the division by 0. So its description is also given. So this is one try block inside one nested try. Now we have the second nested try. So in the second one, what we are doing here also, we are having an we have a statement which is creating an arithmetic exception, but the catch block is dealing only array index out of bound exception. So what will happen? This the object being thrown here, the exception object being thrown here will not be caught here, and it will not be executed. So what will happen? It will be caught by the next catch in the higher level. So whatever exception has been thrown at this point will be caught by this point. So here we have, see, after these two try statements, we have a statement. So this statement will not be executed since there is no proper handling of the exception thrown at this point by the particular matching catch block. Since there is no proper handling of this exception thrown here, this statement, these statements will not be executed. So it will go into the the exception thrown here will be caught by the next higher level catch. So here what we'll get, it is this statement is displayed and the exception object is also being displayed. So we will get handled by outer try. And what was the exception thrown here? It is an arithmetic exception. So that arithmetic exception has been exception has been displayed here. So we get the same statement. And since the now here up to this point, what happened? It has up to this point it has executed the catch statement. Sorry, it has handled. So there was proper handling of all the exceptions thrown by until this point. So there won't be any disruption of the statements. You can continuously execute the statements. So the normal flow of the program is not disrupted. So you get that statement normal flow. So this is about nested try. So we can have a try block inside another try block. Next is about throw keyword. So as we have seen before, throw keyword is also another keyword which is used for exception handling. So this throw keyword is used whenever you want to throw an exception explicitly. Like if that programmer himself wants to throw the exception, then they make use of the throw keyword. So the general form of the throw keyword is it will throw this is the keyword throw and some throwable instance, an object of throwable. It should be an object of throwable class. Okay. So generally we do like this: throw keyword, new keyword, and some exception class with some error message. If like we may give our own error message, or it may display it's that whatever error message is being described. So we can obtain the throwable object by using a parameter in the catch clause or by using a new operator. Now let's look into an example. So here we have the class throw1, inside which we have a try catch block. And we are inside the try block. We are throwing a arithmetic exception. So this is what throw keyword, new keyword, the arithmetic exception class, and the error message. So we may skip this part also. This message we may skip also. It's not compulsory that we should give it. So here it is describing. So if see here we are throwing an arithmetic exception, right? So in case we don't give the arithmetic this error message, then it will be making use of the default error message, as we have seen before, division by 0. That message will be displayed. Or since here we are rewriting that error message, this particular message will be displayed. So here what we are doing, we are using the keyword throw to throw a arithmetic exception. So here we are manually throwing the arithmetic exception. So once that arithmetic exception is thrown, since this statement is inside the try block, the catch block will be that exception will be caught by the catch block, and you will get this statement caught in main, and you're displaying the exception object description. So you get the statement caught in main, and it is the arithmetic exception being thrown, and our message was A. So here, whatever was given here, that message will be displayed. So here we are making use of throw keyword to manually throw an exception. Now let's look into one more example wherein we have a class, and here we are trying to implement some. We are trying to check the eligibility of some students for registration into some program. So for that, the student's age should be greater than 12 and it should be greater than 40. So only if the student is greater than 12 or 40 weight, only then that student is eligible for that program. So what we are describing an exception. Sorry, we are describing a case wherein they are checking the age of the student and weight of the student. So if the age is less than 12 and weight is less than 40, then that student is not eligible for the program. So we throw an arithmetic exception which is setting the error message as student is not eligible for registration. Now in case this statement, if the condition fails, then the student is eligible. So we can say that student's entry is valid. Okay, so this is our logic behind. We are taking some students to who are greater than 12 and whose weight is greater than 40 for some program, right? So for the students who does not meet that condition, we have to those students are not eligible. So we are reading their age, and inside the main method we are reading their age and weight, and we are calling that method with age and weight. So let's say we are taking values 11 and 39. So here we are entering 11 and here we are entering 39. So these values, age and weight, is being passed to the check eligibility method as into these. So this will be 11 and this is 39. So these values will be taken into the formal parameters here. So age is 11. This is 11 and this is 39. So what will they do here inside the if block? It is checking whether 11 is less than 12 and 39 is less than 40. So when 11 is less than 12 means it is true. This is true. And 39 less than 40. This is also true. So true and true means it will give true. So this statement is true. So it will come inside this if block and it will throw an arithmetic exception. So it will throw this arithmetic exception stating that student is not eligible for registration. So we get, here we get, we entered the values. Since here we don't have any proper handling, there is no handling of the exception being thrown. So it will disrupt the program. So we get the error like this. It is an arithmetic exception, and this message, student is not eligible for registration, is obtained here. This message has come here. Okay, since we have changed the error message to our own style. And at which point is being thrown? See, it is caused at this point of the inside the main method at this point, and at this point inside the eligibility. So we get that inside check eligibility, it is at line number 8, and inside main it is at line number 24. So this is how we can use throw keyword to throw its own exception. Next, there are cases wherein we can rethrow the exception. So in case, let's say the catch block couldn't, we had described a catch block and that catch block was not able to handle that particular exception. Then in such cases, what happens? We can write the code to rethrow that exception. So if in case of rethrowing that exception, we can make use of the throw keyword. So here in our function, we have a method named function fun. We have the method named fun, which is using to throw. We are making use of the throw keyword. Now we are making since this set of statement is throwing the checked exception. Exception comes under this exception class is a type of checked exception. So since it is a checked exception, we have to either use try catch block, or we have to use throws keyword to declare that exception. So in our case, we have, since these exceptions are they are of checked exception types, we are making use of the throws keyword to we are declaring that exception. So or else if we don't use these statement, then it will show a compile time error, because checked exceptions are checked during compile time. So if we have to use throws, we have to declare that exception before use. So we are making use of the throws keyword, and inside this fun method we have a try block which is throwing the same exception. It is throwing the same exception using the throw keyword. So throw new exception. So this is our error message, throw exception. Now that is when this is thrown, it will be caught by the catch block of that particular block, and it is displaying these statements. So whatever object was exception object was thrown at this point is caught into E, and that E is being displayed. Now here again we are rethrowing the same instance of the exception object which was thrown at this point. So that it is being rethrown here. But when it is rethrown here, there is no outer catch. Outer try block is not present. So it will be caught by the next higher level. So this fun method is called inside the main method. So it will check whether the main method is having any exception handling mechanism. If it is having any exception handling mechanism, then it will be dealt by that particular catch block. So here at this point, when the exception is rethrown, there is no catch block outside this try. There is no try catch block outside this. So it will check with the next higher level. So when it checks with the next higher level, it is the main method. So inside the main method, since there are chances of this method throwing exception object, or there is a chance of creation of a checked exception, we are again making use of the throws keyword, and it is being dealt in by the try catch block. So we are calling the fun method inside the try block, and if there is any exception being thrown by the fun block, it will be caught over here. It will be caught by this catch block. If any exception has been thrown by this fun method, it will be caught by the catch block. So at this point, if we look into the flow of the program, it will start from main. The main is calling the fun method. The fun method is called. So when the fun method is called, the control will come at this point. It will execute. The try block will be executed. So it will the exception. This exception object will be thrown with this throw exception error message, and it is caught over here. So we get caught inside fun. So we get caught inside fun in the output, and we are displaying that exception object. So that exception object error message was throw exception. So, and what is the type of it? It is the exception type. So we get the Java lang dot exception and the error message throw exception. Now inside the catch block, the exception object has been rethrown. So once it is rethrown, since there is no try block outside, external try block for this, outer try block for this, it will come out of the fun, and it will check. The runtime will check whether there is any exception handling mechanism inside the main. So inside the main, it is being handled. So this catch block will catch it. Since the exception thrown is rethrown here is also of the same exception type exception, it is also caught over here. So it is caught here, and you get this. It is caught into this exception object, and you get this statements displayed. So we get caught in main, and what is this thing? This Java lang exception, throw exception. So this whole object will be caught over inside the catch block also. Next, we make use of the throws keyword to, as we have seen in the previous example, whenever that method is, there are chances for that any method to throw any checked exception, we make use of the throws keyword. So it can be used to declare the exception. It is used to declare that exception, stating that that method which is being implemented may throw an exception. Okay, so this is the syntax. We'll give the return type, the method name, throws keyword, and the exception class name. So we have seen the example. Again, we'll look into one example. So here also we are making use of the exception class. So we should declare all the exceptions which comes directly under the exception class except runtime exception and its subclasses as using the throws keyword. We have to declare them, since they are all the exceptions which directly inherit the exception class are all checked exceptions. So all those should be declared using the throws keyword. So here it is throwing. We are having some method which there is a possibility of throwing the exception class, so exception object. So we are declaring it as throws exception. Then we have the inside the method is throw1, which may throw the exception. So we are declaring it with the throws keyword, and then the body of it. Then we have the main calling the throw1. So this throw1 is also may throw the exception. So we are handling it with the try catch block. So we have the throw1 being called inside the main. So when the method is called inside the main, the control will come here. We get the statement inside throw1. So we get the statement inside throw1 in the output, and then we are throwing the exception, throw new exception demo. So here inside this, inside the throw1, there is no handling of that. We don't have any try catch block. So at this point, whatever exception object is being thrown here, we'll have the message demo. That won't be caught inside the throw1 method, but it will be caught, since this throw1 is called inside the main and it is handled using the try catch block. The exception being thrown at this point will be caught inside the main by its particular catch block. So inside that catch block, it is catching the exception object. It is catching the exception object E, whatever is being thrown here, and that is being displayed. So when we get it, when this throw1 is called, it will first display the statement inside throw1. So you get this statement in the output, and then we have the caught method, inside the catch block, and it is displaying the error object. So we get Java lang exception demo. So this demo error message was obtained from here. So this is about throws keyword. So throws keyword is generally used to declare the exceptions which may be thrown by the methods we used inside a program. So in preparing today's video, I have referred the Java complete reference by Herbert Schild and Java tutorial by Oracle and the website Java T-Point. So in today's video, we have discussed about nested try, multiple catches, how to use the throw and throws keyword, and how we can rethrow the exceptions. So that is all for today's video. Thanks for watching my video. We'll continue in the next session.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.